Alright, so before we can go any further, you've got to make a decision whether you want to install the cabin components or not. In fact, the decision should be made a lot earlier. You'll see from one of the pieces I've assembled there was quite a bit of modification needed to get it to fit into the hull. However, it's a decision you do need to make. Anyway, after a lot of looking at sheets and looking at the original 3D diagrams that Trident provided, I was able to work out how the parts go together. Now luckily, each section that needs to be assembled, that's the box in the middle, these are all walls, have their own little area of assembly, which makes it fairly easy to assemble each of the pieces with a bit of thought. So they're the side walls between the main walls. These guys here are the main walls, and this one here that I'll show you later was the rear walls and doors. Now, I did mention that there is an issue with the doors. Take for example this last wall. I'll zoom in a little bit so I can explain it to you in more detail. So here's the wall, here's the door. You take the door and put it over the wall area, you will see there is significant space between where the actual wall cuts out, or the door cuts out, and where the door is. So they don't fit and they're not to scale, and this is on every door that's in the kit. Luckily, I had some 1x1 wood, which when we line it up here and create some door jambs in the area, this piece will fit. Now, it's a shame that the doors are the wrong size. I don't know why, but they're all a lot smaller than they should be. For example, this lower door down here, apart from the fact that the lasering is not that great, is also way too small, as you can see. As I said, I don't know what's happened, why they're like that, but they certainly shouldn't be. Anyway, I shall battle away, create these for you. Now, the beauty of them is, so far, that these things can be made up without gluing in and slotting into place. And also they don't need the floor there, because we're still to work out how to put the floor in and whether I will put it in or not, or whether it's actually provided. Anyway, to give you an idea of how it goes together, this one here, which consists of 2 walls and a main cross wall and 3 doors, was the section at the front or bow of the ship, and it makes up this guy here with skinny little space between, with 1 door in between, a door this side and a door this side. Now, when you look at this, right, all this planking looks nice and the doors are clearly visible. Unfortunately, on the other side of this, it wasn't cut all the way through and it was just blank and looked atrocious. So what I've had to do is I had some old oak double layer that I've had to stick on there and improvise the doors. It'll all come up nice and neat once I finalise it and add the hinges and everything, but unfortunately I had to make that one up myself. As if it had been like that on the other side, it would have looked awesome. Anyway, that was made up. That's those pieces now. When I was talking about modifying severely, you can see these 2 big holes in here. Right, therefore allow it to fit over the breast hook. Now, obviously if you're building the ship, breast hooks in place. This cabin hasn't been designed for the breast hook being there, so you need to cut it out. That's one of the things you'll need to do. I haven't built the rest of the stuff. It does fit in nice and neat in the hull, but there was a lot of modification that needed to be done to it to actually get it to fit up. And once it does go in, and one of the cross supports sits across the top there, and the front portion with the upper breast hook sits in here, you can hardly see this. So yeah, it's another thought you may need to consider as whether you actually want to do it or not. Anyway, for completion process, I'm going to complete them all. I'm going to put them in this hull so you can actually see what they look like as provided by Trident, and then you can decide whether you want to keep them or not. I will keep them because, you know, me being me, I want to make them, and two, I want to show you how they're done, considering we haven't got any documentation yet. Cheers. Alright, so we're working on the three major bulkheads that don't contain the sidewalls. They're all contained in the one section with each of their individual doors, as I said before. We'll zoom in closer and have a look at the one that I've mostly completed. So that's what it looks like in the part. We've glued on the two more posts. We also glued these individual pieces together, and I've added around the edge of the door frame 1mm square wood that I had left over from another kit. So when we flip it over on the other side, you can now see the door frame that's put in there. Now you notice this isn't anywhere near as nice as this. This is another one of the kits where the laser hadn't cut everything through perfectly, so I've had to cut the slices and put them through. It's still readily visible, and when you add some of the finisher on it, the parts will come up. I didn't really want to add walnut to this guy. It's just overkill, and you can't see a lot of that stuff now. As you said, yeah, that's the doors. It didn't fit in there, however. Now that, oh, and by the way, there are no markings on the other side. It's only single marking sides, so be careful when you actually put it in, or you'll have to mark that side as well. So we put that door in place. There we go. Now I've got a complete unit, and it actually does stand out a little bit better with the wood around the outside. Don't ask me why they're the wrong size. Anyway, this guy's now ready for its hinges and finishing off. I'll complete the rest of the three bulkheads, then we'll clean them all up and add the walls, and I'll show you how they all fit into the system. But that guy's done. Thank you. Right, so you heard me talk about cutting out these 2x2s. As I said, most people would probably normally cut them along there and along there where the CNC ended. You end up losing all this stuff. Is about 1.5 centimeters of length, and when you're gluing all the pieces on here, and you do need them later for the cross framing, you better have to get maximisation out of this. So the easiest way to do it, as I said, instead of cutting across that way, because it's with the grain, fairly easy to just cut through that side. And it's a straight line. Cut through this way, comes off very easily. Easy enough to clean up. If you can't cut straight, well, use the old sandpaper to finish it off. instead of wasting all this wood, you now got a lot extra longer pieces than wasting the stuff in the middle out of this sheet, which you can use elsewhere. Alright, so I've finally assembled all the pieces for the cabin area. Each of them all here, which make up the 3 main bulkheads and then some side doors. It was fairly easy to work out, as I said. Each of the individual, which is this one here, actually this one here, all comes together in a line section, so you can work out which is which. You've just got the door and the pieces. The big issue is, whether you can see if I look at these 3 here, I'll zoom in a little bit. As you can see, every door is a different size. I left one ajar to show that it represents a door. Now the doors don't fit within the hole, as I said, so I've had to put edging around it to fit them in. On the back they've got the relevant supports, but none of the doors have got laser etching on the back, so you can't see the back. You'd have to draw it in. The wood quality wasn't that great. That's not staining, that's the actual wood. All of those strips have to be glued together individually to make a solid wall. So it takes quite a bit of effort to put them together. As I said, they're not spectacular. They're plain old boring walls. I've still got to put all the hinge parts on, but you'll need to work out whether you want to make up the effort or not. This is a little storage space thing, and this is the front section I think I talked about before, where I had to put extra stripping on here because unfortunately, like the doors, it was just plain and bland and poor on the back, and that's the walkway in between, and that's those pieces. I used the Emblazer laser to recut all the individual pieces for the hinges, so at least we managed to put proper hinges on them. I was quite impressed. They come out quite good. This is just plain old GSM card paper, and took about 20 minutes for the laser to cut out the pieces. So I made 4 lots of copies. If I need to make some more, I will do. Time I glue them on, seal them up, put them away, you won't see a difference between the metal ones and these, which is good. Right, now, as I did say, the ship doesn't come with any flooring, or I didn't think it came with any flooring, but there's lots and lots of these strip pieces in the kit, and looking through the instructions for the original Trident, these aren't mentioned. The whales and the other portions are done differently, and this is only a small portion of the amount that you get. And based on what I'd got and laying it out on the bottom here, there's obviously enough of this, enough for the next deck, and potentially maybe enough for one of the sides, but I'm not going to do that. Now, if you put, let's take this piece, if you were going to put it in without any flooring, we can't see this, I'll see if we can come in a bit closer. Turn around a second. That's the front section. As I said, I had to adjust all this so it fits over the breast hooks, but that goes in there, and that's what it would look like by the time you cover it. These pieces, it ends up a fairly open area, and you can see straight down into the ship. Now you won't see any of the flooring or anything in it, and all this is left open bare. When you add perhaps something else, like one of the other bulkheads, which go in here, you won't see the bulkheads, you'll see straight through. Now I thought, yeah, it's not too bad, but would probably look a little bit better. Sorry, these go down the other end. With some sort of flooring in, but I still want to see the exit ways and all the portions down here. So I've started to put flooring in. You'll have to measure it and cut it yourself. The edging that goes around the access ports, it's not provided. I've used the 2x2, so I've got some to do there, not the mast, around this area here, and around this last hole down the bottom here. And then I'll deck just that side, cover it over so you get an indication of what the deck looks like on the lower deck, but still got access and visibility to all this stuff here, which is like Wang did. Then when I put the next other deck up the top here, instead of putting all the cross pieces on, I'm going to leave some of it open so you can see in. I mean, that's not going to ruin the structure. You're basically just going to have these guys sitting across here, but at least you'll be able to see through and into the internal structure. I'll show you how I put these together when I do them, but it was fairly simple. I'm going to end at this bulkhead here and end at the first one on the other end of that way. I'm only going to cover this small section here. All this will still be open, and the hatchways obviously I'm going to remain clear, but we'll put these in. As I said, these guys are pretty good at fitting, so they actually go down this end. I've still got to put all the hatches and everything on. Won't hide much, but it'll give you a bit of a structure and visibility to look through. That's where we're at to. Fairly simple, but I had to do a bit of thinking and try and work out where some of these holes go that aren't clearly marked anywhere, because they're not part of the original kit. We'll see how we go. I'll keep you informed as I do the next bit of floor and cleaning up these pieces so they all fit. Adding the various bits on the front to give it a little bit more believability, but yeah, I don't like the fact that it's only done on one, not the other. Not much you can do about it. If you want to make it really nifty, you're going to have to clean it all up and add some features or something along here, because it is open and bland. But as I said, you don't get a massive view of these. They're hidden under a lot of the stuff, so it's not as if you open the kit up and go, oh wow, I can see in there. They're just a representation of the walls in the kit, so you can imagine what it would look like. They're not meant for full open display. If they were meant for full open display, obviously you're going to have to embellish them a little bit, make them a little bit more interesting. Anyway, bit of a struggle, but not too difficult. I'll document how I did it, and then you can decide how much further you want to go. See you in the next video.